Hi, this is Danny Lewis, a course developer and tutor here at Point Blank Online. And this series of videos is from the Logic dubstep course that I developed with Johnny Miller from Just Listen and Sonar Pilot Audio. Let's take a look at the bass morpher layer. So this is a 2 oscillator patch that I've created. The first oscillator is at normal pitch, the second one is 12 semitones higher. And I've chosen the throat, wavetable and synform on these. You can also see that we've got the modulation coming from the LFOs 5 and 6. Let's have a listen again. So the LFO 5, this is here, is set to a slow cycle. The sawtooth waveform is selected, amp is at maximum. LFO 6 is a bit different. We've got a faster grid. We've got the sawtooth, but we've also got this, which is different. We've got the amp control is being modulated by the internal envelope over here. So this creates an interesting movement over time. We've got some width expansion from this over here, FX2 dimension expander. So that's pretty much what the patch is. What I want to do is I want to create a brand new instance of Massive, and we're going to go through those steps so you can really get inside the sound and understand what I did. So I'm going to set this up now. So we're going to have a separate new instance of Massive. And I'm just going to play on the keyboard. So just listening to that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you across to the wavetable that I used. This was called Throat. And when I was making the sound, I was just listening for things that sort of caught my ears at the time. I mean, I fancied something that was actually quite buzzy. That was my immediate feeling about this sound. I'm just going to take my envelope up, the sustain level. There we go. Now listen as I move the wavetable position control. So it's got this very vocal kind of characteristic to it. And when I was wobbling that around, I thought to myself that would be good if I could modulate that to create an interesting wobble. So what I wanted to do was to add the LFO. So that's what I'm going to do now for you. To save me having to play the keyboard all the time, I'm going to make a copy of the region. I'm going to take away the original one. So over here, what we've got is simply this sound at the moment. And I'm going to add the modulation. We're going to bring on LFO 5. I'm going to pick it up and move it over here. And I'm going to click and drag to create the range of modulation being applied to that. So instead of me dragging this left and right, the LFO is going to do that for me. At the moment, we've got the settings that you can see here. There's a sine wave on there. I'll show you how that would sound. We can slow the rate down, of course, and speed it up. But I wanted to go for a different kind of texture, so I went for the sawtooth, which is going to take the modulation high to low and then take it right back up again. So what I did also was to take this onto a tempo synchronized setting for the cycles. So I took a slow cycle. Have a listen. So we've got that movement towards the end of the note. If we had a shorter note, you wouldn't actually notice that. It's important to understand that. So also then what I did was I applied the other LFO, LFO 6. I'm going to bring this over here. Let's drag this all the way up so we're modulating this as well. Now what I did here was I wanted something faster. So I went to synchronized and we went to 12 subdivisions. The amp control is where the difference is, as I pointed out earlier. But let me come to that in a second. I'm going to switch to the sawtooth. And what we're going to do is we're going to gradually introduce this amount here. I'll show you how it sounds at the moment. There's always that 12th wobble occurring. I want it to go like this. So I start off with nothing, but then I introduce it as we get to the second part of the note. Now for me to do that all the time or record it into automation, that would be a lot of hassle. So instead what I'm going to do is use the internal envelope over here. I'm going to drag this onto the amp control and I'm going to click on the mouse and add range. Now I'm going to take my decay long and take my attack slow. Let's have a listen to that now. So really it's just a matter of just fine tuning this until I feel comfortable. Maybe just a bit longer on there. So that's the first oscillator on that particular patch. On the next video, what we'll do is we'll work on the second oscillator.